So someone messaged me recently and asked if I would, while I'm doing these unboxing videos, and I got a box here from CGC, but somebody asked while I was doing these videos if I could give into some more detail about, you know, what tier I submitted them under, how long it took, that sort of thing. So let's talk about that. I got 10 slabs here. By the way, great box. Tons of first covers and a lot of first covers that I've never owned before. So this should be really interesting. Also, a couple swimsuit issues in here too. Both vintage from like big supermodels. So that'll be fun. So this is a submission that I sent in March of 2021. So what are we looking at? Year and a half or so wait time with this. I sent it in under the basic modern tier, the cheapest tier. And this is back before I was pressing. So all of these issues were pressed. Again, I'm a huge supporter in pressing, whether you use my pressing service or you use CGC's pressing service. I get every single one of my issues pressed. I've been doing that since my very first CGC submission. Every slab, and I've submitted over 1,000 slabs, has been pressed before submitted. I just believe in it. It's, you know, if you care about the grade, why wouldn't you press your issues? It just is that simple. So again, these were sent in March 2021, so well over a year ago. They were pressed by CGC, not by me. 10 slabs. Let's rock and roll. Looking to pop some 9.8s. Now these are, a lot of these are from the 80s, early 90s. A couple of modern ones in here, so it's going to be tough to pop some high grades. But let's see if we can rock and roll. I can already tell. This one's going to be a little bit more vintage. You can tell by the style of that Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi can there. First one up. Okay. Okay. So, all right. So very, very interesting here. Lots to talk about. Yeah, lots to talk about with this one. Okay. This is David Robinson. This is his first pro cover, not his first cover. His first cover was in 1986 when he was at the Naval Academy, and he's in his Navy dress uniform. Man, great looking shot. But this is also a great looking shot. This is when he was with the Spurs, so this came out on January 29th, 1990. Pop reports on this. There are two 9.6s. I own one of the 9.6s. And there's some others graded, and there's one 8.0. Now, what's interesting about this, you can see the 8.0. Try to get the angle. This is autographed, and let's see that labeling up there. So this will give me an opportunity. It says David Robinson 50 written on marker, sticker attached to cover, because it's got a Beckett authentication sticker. So let's discuss this. I've done a lot of videos on this, so I'm not going to take a huge dive into autographs, but autographs are very tricky when you send them into CGC. Usually, if you send them in and there's an autograph on there, it does not matter. They do not authenticate it. They treat the autograph like any other sort of scribbling or writing on the magazine, which means they downgrade your issue for it. If you get a blue label. Normally, what they'll do is they'll automatically give you a green label, which is the qualified label at CGC. It tends to be the kiss of death when it comes to collectors. Most people don't want it. But if you want a blue label, which is what everybody wants, what you have to do is request to CGC and ask them to downgrade it for the writing on the magazine. And that's what I did here. And I got an 8.0. So what my thought process is on this, and I'm looking at it, they will downgrade it not only for the writing, but they'll also downgrade it for the sticker. There's my Beckett authentication sticker. This is probably a 9.6, 9.4, maybe a 9.2. And I got downgraded a point and a half, or a little bit more for that autograph. So I'm happy with this. I think this is probably the highest ever autographed issue I've ever gotten in a blue label, 8.0, because they knock, I mean, minimum a point, minimum a full point, up to 2 points is my experience on this. There are a couple of problems. This wasn't a 9.8. I've got a couple spine ticks that break color, but it's a 9.6 or a 9.4. So I lost a point and a half. Probably on this. David Robinson, first pro cover. Love this. By the way, David Robinson wore 50 in college and in the pros, and that was a tribute to Ralph Sampson, which was his idol growing up. Fun. Okay. Good David Robinson. Good start. It was a fun one. I forgot that was autographed. Next up. Okay. Man, still trying like crazy on this one. Don't recognize this? Charles Barkley, first cover. This is from December 12th, 1988. There's a 9-0. There's this 8-0. There's a 6-0. I'm not going to go through Charles Barkley's stats. You guys obviously know, he was amazing. I will show you again. This one again is autographed, so I'm pretty darn happy with that 8.0. And again, I've got the Beckett authentication sticker down there, so I've got dinged twice for the autograph, for the sticker. So I guess I'm pretty happy with that 8.0 because this is autographed and I got the blue label. Love this cover from Charles. Really trying to get this one in a high grade. Knew I wouldn't do it because I knew I was going to get downgraded with the autograph. But it's a big deal. And I mean, Charles is so collectible. It seems like he's getting more collectible because he's still in the public eye. I mean, that, the show he does with Shaq on TNT is about as good as sports broadcasting gets. And, the rumor is right now Charles is considering going over to the Live Tour and doing golf because those guys that live are throwing money around like crazy. We'll see if that happens. All right, next up. Oh, here. I've got a theme here. Here's another one. Trying not to be disappointed in these 3 8.0s because they all got autographed. Yeah, that was a problem. Yeah, that was a challenge on that one. Jerome Bettis, first Sports Illustrated cover. This is November 24th, 1997. This is a pop 1 of 1, none higher. Very difficult issue to find in a newsstand. He was on an SI Presents before this, but this is his first weekly Sports Illustrated cover, so a lot of people consider that the first cover. Because a lot of collectors, for whatever reason, don't consider SI Presents as kind of part of the real first covers and that sort of stuff. I'm a huge Jerome Bettis fan. I'm a big Notre Dame fan. He was amazing at Notre Dame, amazing with the Steelers, won Super Bowls, Hall of Famer. Very cool to have this Jerome Bettis first cover and autograph. All right, next up. All right, I think that may be all the autographs, although we'll see. And I'd like to get some higher grades. I know in my head 8.0 with an autograph, those are all 9 pluses. Now I'd like to see some real 9 plus grades. That is not it, but it's another autograph. And another 8.0. What were they just like defaultly handing out 8.0s? A cool issue. Anthony Davis. So this is his first Sports Illustrated cover. This is from March 19th. 2012. There's one 9.8. There's a few 9.6s and a few 9.4s. Anthony Davis was on 4 covers while he played for Kentucky, which is an outrage. Lou Alcindor was on 4 covers when he was at UCLA. Really rare for an athlete to get 4 college covers. One of those covers at Kentucky was an SI Presents. He turns 30 next year. He's past the midpoint in his career. Still don't know if he's working out with LeBron in LA. I think he's a Hall of Famer. For me, I think, he doesn't have to do much the next couple of years of his career. And I think he's still going to be in the Hall of Fame, and that just definitely makes him collectible. But Anthony Davis, first Sports Illustrated, again, I'll show you. There's the Beckett authentication. I don't get any. I don't do a whole lot of autographs, but I definitely don't do autographs that aren't authenticated by one of the big guys, Beckett, JSA, PSA, that sort of thing. I think I said this last time. I think that's my last autograph, but maybe not. We'll see. Next up. Oh, jackpot! This is big. That is a 9.8. This is Tiger. Okay, so this is the Tiger Woods masterpiece. This came out on April 16th, 2001. There are now 10 9.8s. There are a bunch of 9.6s. There are a bunch of 9.4s. There's a ton other graded out there. For me, visually and as a work of art, because that's what these Sports Illustrateds are, the photography is so incredible. This is a work of art. This is my favorite Tiger Woods cover. You can see him there at Augusta. It's just this beautiful shot with the crowd all boxed in around the tee box. Tiger's there. He's got the red shirt on. He's in the middle of his backswing. You can see the flag stick in the sand way back there. Great headline, masterpiece, playing off of the master's words and all that stuff. This is a freaking home run and such a great issue. And I absolutely love it. I have owned this before in a number of different grades. I don't currently own it, and I'm definitely hanging on to this one. Masterpiece, Tiger Woods. This huge. That made the whole box. The whole box. 9.8. Tiger Woods masterpiece. And that's again, he was on 24 covers, I think. And out of all of them, this one is to me the most visually stunning out of all of them. Big one. All right. Let's get another 9.8. Let's see what else we can do here. Let's get another 9.8. Had to open up my mouth, didn't I? Talking about 9.8s, and that one made the whole box, and then here we go. 9.6. Yeah. This is the Mickey Mantle tribute issue. I think out of all the tribute issues that Sports Illustrated's done over the years, this is my favorite. I love how clean this issue looks. You've got this great black and white picture of a young Mickey Mantle. You've just got this Sports Illustrated in red. I think it gives the date. Yeah, it just says, the date and then the price of the magazine, and that's it. There's no headline. It's a very clean looking issue. Again, another one that I would describe as a work of art. This could be displayed and look amazing. I've owned a ton of these issues. I still own a ton. I've got a bunch at CGC being graded. I've still got some raw that I haven't sent in yet. I think this is just a fantastic and a great issue. This came out on right after Mickey passed away. It was August 21st, 1995. There are 9 9.8s. There are now 7 9.6s. There's 6 9.4s, and there's a whole heck of a lot of others graded out there. That is not quite sure where the flaw is on this one, because it's just about perfect. Great issue. Mickey Mantle tribute issue 9.6. Let's just move on and pretend like that 9.6 doesn't exist, and let's see if we can't pop some other good grades here. Oh. It's a big deal. This is this one that you're looking at right there is a big deal. And let's dig in and talk a little bit about why. This is Cheryl Tiegs. She was on 3 swimsuit issue covers. This is her last one. By the way, her one from 1970, extremely collectible and almost impossible to find. But this one came out on February 14th, 1983. This is a pop 1 of 1, none higher at 9.4. The next highest graded issue, 8.0. So this absolutely crushed the old highest graded issue. The only person that's been on more Sports Illustrated covers is Elle McPherson. She's been on 5. A bunch of people have been on 3, including Cheryl Tiegs here. You got to think about 1983. I'd classify that as vintage. Really, really difficult to get this into a high grade. Why? Let's talk about this. All this black ink on the back, all along the spine. Another reason. That trifold right there. This is that red part. That's not the cover. That's like the second page. So the cover is a little bit smaller than the rest, and when you open up the magazine, it folds out into this trifold advertising thing. This gives you another opportunity to have damage because you've got another seam essentially where this has been folded right there, and you get a lot of color flake there. You get a lot of color flake on the red part. To me, this beats that Tiger Woods 9.8. Good luck. I never say never, but good luck ever finding a copy of this in newsstand that's ever going to beat a 9.4. This is 40 years old. I'm thrilled with this. This is probably, to date, my absolute best swimsuit issue. I don't have a ton of swimsuit issues, but this is easily, to date, my best swimsuit issue. Cheryl Tiegs, 9.4, 1983, Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. And she's a big name. I mean, if you're younger and you don't know her, but I mean, she acted in movies and she did some other things out there and stuff. But I mean, she was one of the original supermodels back in the 70s. Fun. Still got, what do I got here? 3 left, including this one. Okay, this is going to be your vintage. It's going to be vintage too. There's the TV. Remember those TVs? Console TVs? It's like a piece of furniture, all surrounded in wood and stuff like that. This should be interesting. We got back-to-back amazing swimsuit issues and vintage. Okay, now I'm going to amend it. The Tiger 9.8 was my favorite. Then the Cheryl Tiegs 9.4 became my next favorite. This one beats them all. This one beats them all. Christie Brinkley, probably the most famous supermodel in history. February 5th, 1979. So this is her first Sports Illustrated cover. That wasn't Cheryl Tiegs' first Sports Illustrated cover. That came out in 1970. 1979, Christie Brinkley, first Sports Illustrated cover. Pop reports, this is a pop 1 of 1, none higher. Just like the Cheryl Tiegs issue, the next one, 8.0. So this crushed the old record. Did not get my labeling on this. It said first Christie Brinkley cover, but that's okay. When you give me a 9.4 on a vintage issue like this from the 70s, I'll take it. You got to remember, again, why are these so rare and so hard to get in a high grade? If you come from comic books, you get it. If you come from sports cards, though, when you got sports cards, even in the 60s and 70s, all you did was really look at them. You open up a pack of sports cards, you go, oh, that's cool, that's my favorite guy, awesome. You may trade with your friends and that sort of stuff, and then you stick them in a box and you don't do anything with them. They really weren't handled a whole lot. This was a piece of entertainment. So just like comic books, when you bought a Sports Illustrated, you opened it and you read it. And by the way, the minute you open and read a Sports Illustrated, it's likely your 9.8 is gone forever. Because what happens is you get spine stress. You get stress along the spine, you open it up, and that ink between the front cover and back cover starts flaking off immediately. So, for starters, most issues, even back in the 60s and 70s, when you bought them off the newsstand, were already never going to be a 9.8 because of the way they're produced and distributed and people rifling through them on the newsstand and reading them and putting bends and tears in them and then putting them back. But beyond that, when you bought it, you took it home. And you read it, and you looked at it, and maybe it was in the bathroom, or maybe you threw it on the floor and your dog stepped on it, or it sat on the kitchen counter and coffee got spilled on it. It was a tool. It was entertainment. You used it to entertain yourself and read and learn things and that sort of stuff. So the idea that you can get something that's this old in this amazing of condition is really, really rare, and that's why you don't see very many 9.8s before 1980, as opposed to sports cards where there's tons. I mean, shoot, there's I think there's 3 Mickey Mantle Topps 1952 rookies graded at 10. You're never gonna see that. Mickey Mantle's first Sports Illustrated in 1956, we don't have a 9.8. There's a 9.6 and there's a 9.4. There's certainly not 3 9.8s like there is of his sports card. So if you're coming from the sports card area, you gotta remember, these are really, really tough to get in a high grade in these vintage. And it's just because it was the way it was printed and shipped and distributed, the way it was stored, and the way it was used. It was used to be read. 9.4. 9.4, Christie Brinkley, first Sports Illustrated issue. Oh, this is a great box. Feels like a long time since I've had just an amazing box that keeps delivering. But this has been it, and we still got 2 left. Okay, I'm gonna guess this is like from the late 80s, early 90s. What is that? It's a Toyota Celica. Yeah, that screams 80s, late 80s, early 90s. Okay. Oh, just Emmitt Smith first cover at 9.4. That's all. That's all. Just the first Emmitt Smith cover. November 27th, 1989. Pop reports. This is a pop 1 of 1, none higher. There are 2 9.0s. There are some others out there. Now, in fact, I did this in a podcast. Somebody asked me to come up with the worst first covers, and this one was on there. Not a great first cover, but it is Emmitt Smith's first cover. Did not get my labeling on that. He's on, so this was the Heisman watch. Bo Jackson's first cover, very similar, looks very similar to this. It was a Heisman preview and, a bunch of athletes in these really small boxes. So you've got Major Harris, Tony Rice, Emmitt Smith, Anthony Thompson, and Andre Ware. So you've got Emmitt Smith from Florida right there. Not a great first cover, but still his first cover, still a 9.4, still a pop 1 of 1, none higher. Why is, all this time, the highest graded for this has been a 9? Because it's massively condition sensitive. Black ink all over the back. Dark purple everywhere. Dark purple along the spine. Again, like the Cheryl Tiegs issue. Tri-fold. And you can see on this one, when they make that fold, see all that white? The ink flakes off. That's why this isn't a 9.8. That's looking at this, that's the only flaw in this entire thing, is that ink that's flaked off right there. So that's the flaw, but that's why this one is so hard to get in a high grade. Again, one of the worst first covers, but still Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famer, all-time leading rusher, and played for, frickin' America's team in the Cowboys. So massively collectible, and and a great box that keeps delivering. I was worried there with all those 8.0 autographs. All right, last one. What we got here? Now, see, why do we got to do that? Why do we got to end on a 9.6? Why we got to do that? Why you treat me like that? It's a great issue. Again, another Tiger Woods issue that I absolutely love. Pumping his fist, the hard way issue. He's got that red shirt on, so it was a Sunday. This came out on June 23rd, 2008. I mean, this is a pop 1 of 1, none higher. It's the highest graded copy in the world. There's only one of them. There's a 9.0, there's an 8.5, there's an 8.0. Tiger has been on 22 weekly Sports Illustrated covers. This is one of my favorites. Not as good as Masterpiece, but this one's pretty darn close after that. This was for the U.S. Open in 2008, which he won. So, won the tournament that year. Beautiful looking issue. He's been on 22 issues. Now that I've collected, when I started this, it was, okay, I'm going to collect all 50 Michael Jordan issues. I've done that. It's awesome. I love it. But now I'm kind of looking for okay, what's next? I'm thinking that, like maybe all the Kobes, all the LeBrons, all the Tigers, and maybe what's next for me. But I love this one. It's a great looking issue. The only thing that lets me tolerate this 9.6 is that it's a pop 1 of 1, none higher. It's a good looking issue there. Interestingly enough, Kobe in a small, if you can see that right there, a little small one. Kobe on the cover there too. Pretty cool. Thanks for watching this unboxing video. Have another one soon. Subscribe here on YouTube. The Facebook group we've got is really blowing up and getting a ton of people. Just go to Facebook, search CGC Sports Illustrated. You can find me on Twitter and eBay and Instagram and TikTok and every social media platform. It's the same username everywhere, CGC Sports Illustrated. Appreciate you watching this unboxing video. Thanks a lot.